Sorry about that, guys. I had to head out really quickly just to help a baby. So, where were we? So we were looking at a question where we have more than one fraction. So same rules apply. You can do it in two different ways. You can do it, I'm going to talk about the first one, but then we're going to do the second one. I can do the first two fractions. So I can do 1 over 3 added with 1 over 5, get that answer, and then add it to 1/10. Or I can approach it in this with all three of them. Again, the extra steps of this one, if it's something that you're more comfortable with, then do so, okay? But for just the sake of the class right now, just talking about how to get all three of them. So again, we talked about when you have just two, we go with the highest number and we count up by those multiples. When we have three, same rules apply. We're just going to talk about going up by the highest one. So we're going to go 10. 5 goes into 10, 3 does not go into 10. 20, 5 goes into 20, 10 goes into 20, 3 does not go into 20. 30, 10 goes into 30, 5 goes into 30, and 3 goes into 30. So we now know that our new denominators are all going to be 30. So our next line will look a little bit like this. So I asked myself, how did I get from 3 to 30? I multiplied it by 10. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by 10, right? Whatever I do to one side, I have to do the other. So that's going to become 10. How did I get from 5 to 30? I multiplied by 6. So now I multiply the top by 6, the numerator by 6. I'm going to get 6. How do I get from 10 to 30? I multiply by 3. And the top is going to also be 3 now, the numerator. Now I'm just going to add them all up. So my answer is going to be 30 on the bottom. 10 plus 6 is 16, plus 3 is 19. 19 out of 30 cannot be reduced any further, and so that is going to be our answer. So what do we do now if we have, we've talked about adding proper fractions. We've talked about adding fractions that are more than two fractions. But what about now if we're talking about improper fractions or mixed number fractions? So if we're given the question 2 3/4 plus 5 1/6. So some people will add up the two whole numbers and then add up the fractions and add it to the whole numbers. That is totally acceptable. I'm going to take you through the more, the less complicated, more altogether step right now, but you can do that. Unlike multiplication, where you can't just kind of multiply these two, you can add these two whole numbers and then add the fraction separately and then combine them all at the end. But for the sake, we're just going to do the routine way, which is to turn them into improper fractions. So 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So we have 11 over 4 plus 5 times 6 is 30. 31 over 6. At this point, we are at the same situation that we were last time. Yes, sure, our numerators are quite larger than last time, but the same rules apply. We're going to count up by 6, see which number both go into. So 6, nope, that doesn't go into. 12, yes, yes. So our next line will have 12 as our denominator. How to get from 6 to 12? Multiplied by 2. So I'm going to multiply 31 by 2. 31 by 2 is 62. How do I get from 4 to 12? I multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply this by 3. So I'm going to get 33. 33 plus 62 is 95. I keep the same denominator down here, and I'm left with 95. So now I have to ask myself, how many times does 12 go into 95? So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84. Okay, so 84, that's 7 times. And what's left over? 95 minus 84 is 11. So I have 7 and 11 12ths. So that's one way of doing it. The other way would have been to add up the whole numbers. What if we said that we had, I'm going to just do it over here. What if we said that we had improper fractions? So we had 9 over 2 plus 8 over 3. So we've already we've skipped the mixed numbers and we've just gone right to our improper fractions. So again, Finding the common denominators, 3, 6. Yep, 6 is going to be the key here. So something over 6. How do I get from 2 to 6? Multiply by 3. Multiply by 3, so 27. How do I get from 3 to 6? Multiply by 2. Multiply by 2, 16. I know that my denominator is going to be 6. 27 plus 16 is 43. Now I just do the simple math. How many times does 6 go into 43? Well, I know 7 times 6 is 42, so I'm going to get 7 and 42. 3 more 42 is 1/6. Okay, so that is the basic knowledge that you're going to need to know in order to add up fractions. And it's going to be very similar when we're doing subtracting, but for today we're just going to focus on adding fractions. So that's the end of the knowledge section. We're going to go move into some word problems and application stuff next.